Welcome to the second episode of the Face to Face podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Teddy.
And for our second episode, we have a very special guest, Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen, can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you guys for having me. I'm Mr. Chen. I am a teacher at John Burroughs School, a basketball player, a poet, dog and cat lover, lots of other things I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, that's me.
And so you teach English,
Yeah.
7th grade and 10th grade?
Yeah,
right?
so I teach 7th grade, 10th grade. I have an Asian American lit class for seniors. And then I also teach the 10th grade diversity seminar. So I'll have all you guys, even if you're not in my English class next year.
As a teacher, what have been some unique moments in class that you remember?
There's a lot. I feel like the great thing about being a teacher is every day you get something a little bit different. Let's see, so the seniors that graduated 2 years ago, one day they wrote like a rap about Things Fall Apart, this book, for their final project. They performed it. They wrote a beat and everything. So that was amazing. Let's see, what else? I really would like to think of one that Teddy and Ian were a part of. We're trying to think what's some especially unique stuff. That was a tricky year because we were hybrid.
Yeah, but I thought something that was cool was like I liked our in-class discussions about the books we read, like especially Animal Farm.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was super.
Yeah, that was a good book.
I thought that was good.
It was interesting.
And like also
It's a
like
good
we
book.
came to class every day, and then we had like we wrote something
yeah.
in the morning.
The right away.
Yeah, the right away.
My favorite pun. Yeah.
I know Ian still has like all of his.
Okay. All
I just
right.
Googled
I
all
see
that.
you, Ian. Well, actually, now that you mentioned that, I feel like one day that I remember with you all is, I don't know if you remember, there's a story that we read called Somewhere That's Green. It's about a trans character.
Yeah.
And I feel like, so I've taught that for years, and I feel like you guys had the best discussion of like any class that I've ever had about that. And I still think about that every time I teach it. So
Yeah, it was a great English class.
yeah, thank you.
So I think you have some, an interesting upbringing, as some would say, to how you got your job at Burroughs. So can you talk about your experiences
Yeah.
before you came to Burroughs?
Yeah. So you want me to tell that story or just like kind of beforehand leading up to it?
Whatever you feel
just
like.
your
Okay,
past
sure.
experiences.
Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. We'll start from the beginning. So I first moved to St.Louis to go to grad school at WashU. So I have an MFA in poetry, and then after that, I was still living here. I was still writing, and I was working at a bar. And I was sort of working in restaurants and doing this and that for a little while. I was teaching a little bit at WashU, and I had taught a little bit like in after school programs before that.
Mhm.
So I like had a thought that I would eventually get into teaching again, but I wasn't really thinking about it at the time. But one night at this bar that I worked at, y'all probably don't know her, but Ms. Gershman was like the head of counseling at the time. And so she came in, we had a really good conversation because it was a slow night. And the funny thing is I wasn't even supposed to be working that night. Like I was covering because my friend got sick at the last second. So I went in, and then she and I had a great conversation. She told me about Burroughs, which I'd never even heard of before. Frankly, like I went to public schools growing up, and there weren't that many private schools where I was from. So even the whole world of private schools was like totally new to me. And I don't think I would have really known about it until she told me. And then like 3 months later, like I just met her this one time, and then 3 months later, she calls the owner of the restaurant and was like, "Hey, you know that guy? I think it was Andy Chen. Like, can you put us in touch?" And so she reached out to me, and she was like, "Hey, they're hiring an English teacher. You might try applying for it." And so I did, and that's how I got here. It was luck. It's worked out. Sometimes the universe works like that sometimes.
Well, I'm glad you called because you're a great English teacher.
Well, thank you. I'm glad too. It worked out for everybody, I think.
So I guess transitioning into like a different theme of part of your life. So we know that you love playing basketball.
I do.
So we were wondering, like, did you play like a lot when you were younger, or like do you play a lot now?
So I would say, honestly, like pretty much as early as I can remember, I kind of always played basketball. I think part of that is like, I think like a lot of kids, like I started out trying a little bit in every sport, but like right away, basketball was my favorite one. It was always my favorite one to watch. My friends played it, which is always helpful. So I played throughout middle school and high school. I played AAU and did all that. I didn't play in college. I think I could have played D3. I played pickup with some of the basketball players at the school that I went to. And I think I could have been on the team, but who knows? That's not important. I'm happy with my choices. And so now, I've basically just been playing throughout my whole life. Now I play in, well, maybe not right this second. I'll tell that story in a sec. But for the past few years, I've played in like a league in the winter at WashU, a league in the summer at Maryland Heights, and then I play in a couple pickup games that are once every week or once every 2 weeks. All that is a little bit on hold now because I tore my ACL I tore my ACL in a league game at the very, very end of July. So at this point, so I had surgery and recovery is actually going really well. I feel really grateful. I have a great physical therapist. I've been kind of like checking off the boxes and like getting cleared for stuff like ahead of schedule every step of the way. So I'm cleared for stuff on the court now. I'm actually going to do that after we wrap here. And then I hopefully will be cleared for contact like in April or May. So I'll be hopefully back at that point. But yeah, so I'm trusting the process there. So like I said, it's always been like a really big part of my life, and I'm grateful that it still is.
Did you idolize any players when you were growing up?
So I grew up in South Jersey, right outside of Philly. So I was always a Sixers fan, and I still am to this day a big Sixers fan. And so for me, Allen Iverson was like always the guy. I mean, not only was he a little guy like me, like a little guy who could shoot well, could do everything well, had a lot of heart. But I really admire the way that he really changed the game. Like I feel like at the time, like the league required all players to wear like suits and ties and stuff. And you think about now, like players are so expressive of their personalities. And Allen Iverson, I feel like really started that. Like he brought the culture of hip hop to basketball. He had like the tattoos and the arm sleeve, and he just was so swaggy, even though I feel like at the time people didn't want players to be like that. People didn't want them to express their personalities, and he like really did that, and I just admired that so much.
Yeah, I know. Even though my dad, he doesn't really follow basketball, but I know he also likes Allen Iverson a lot too, and maybe because he went to university in Philadelphia. Well, he went to UPenn. He probably also like watched I don't know on TV or live.
Yeah, I mean the Sixers were huge around Philly at that time, so I wouldn't be surprised just by being nearby if he got swept up in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Is Joel Embiid your favorite player? Because I see a poster on your front door.
Yeah. I would say he's definitely my favorite player right now. Allen Iverson is my favorite player of all time, I would say. But yeah, I really love Embiid. He's also someone who maybe this is a pattern, but I feel like he. I see some draft strategies being shifted over there. He's someone who also really expresses himself a lot. Like he really is himself on the court. Like he's kind of a troll. Like he tries to get in people's heads.
On Twitter,
definitely on Twitter for sure, but in the game too. And I feel like he's someone who he doesn't mind. Like I feel like he doesn't take himself too seriously. Plus, I mean, he's so dominant. He does everything well. I feel like. Yeah,
that's true.
I think now that we've talked a little bit about basketball, I think it's a good transition into like our next segment. So it's going to be a draft segment.
Okay.
And so I guess I can explain kind of the basic rules. So for those of you that don't know, a draft is basically when each person participating picks will go, let's go starting five, all-time starting five. And our category today is basketball players, so all-time. And so each player is going to pick 5 picks, and we're going to go take turns one by one. And in the end, whoever has the strongest team in this case is going to be the winner. Although me and Teddy probably don't know like positions, so we'll probably just take like.
I'm probably going to take the win here, but
all right, whatever you say, bro.
So so we're going positionless, or are we going to try to like approximately get a team that works?
Let's try to approximately.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
All right. Who wants
so
first?
I think Mr. Chen should go first.
I agree.
And so we're going all time history.
All time.
All right. So I'm just gonna say right off the bat, I'm gonna try to balance. Like, I'm gonna try to win this draft in 2 ways. I'm gonna try to get the best team, but I'm also gonna try to get players I like. So I'm not gonna go like straight up like what I think would literally be the best team. I'm gonna try to balance both. All right, I'm going to take Allen Iverson first overall. Even though I don't know, I know he's not the greatest player of all time, but I'm going to build a team around him, and it's still going to be the best team. So I got to take my favorite number 1.
Shoot. All right, so should I go next?
Yeah, you can go. Right. We'll just go in this order.
My first round pick, I'm going to pick the GOAT, the greatest of all time. That's going to be MJ, Michael Jordan. Obvious pick.
Yeah, I was thinking about those.
Yeah, I mean,
legendary player.
That's a solid pick.
Better. Yeah.
What do you mean solid? He's the greatest of all time.
I mean, it's mid. It's mid. It's mid pick.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my pick is just a little bit better. I got to represent China. So I'm gonna go with the big boy standing at 7'6", Mr. Yao Ming. Okay.
I actually like this pick.
He's gonna be
he's easy to build
the big man.
Yeah, I appreciate this pick.
I'm gonna go with like he's a monster on the court. You know, he really can drop some points. He can move the ball around.
Really hyping up his pick.
I'm gonna have to go with Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Mamba.
That's a good pick.
All right, I'm surprised he made it all the way down, but I'm gonna get some passing, some defense, some size. I'm gonna take LeBron.
Oh, that was gonna be my next pick.
Yeah, I mean mid pick though, you know, not as good as Yao Ming.
So LeBron currently broke someone's record.
Ooh, I like this transition.
And so I'm gonna go with that player, and that player is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay, good pick. So I'm gonna build off of the chemistry that I have on my team with one player. And so at the point guard, point guard position, I'm gonna go with somebody that in a certain few weeks he goes crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna pick Jeremy Lin.
Okay. Yes, sir. I should have worn my Jeremy Lin jersey today. Yeah. Oh,
yes, sir.
He's going all Asian players.
It's Lin sanity, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'm gonna have to go for a taller man, huge hands, maybe some of the biggest hands in the world.
Well, I don't know about that, buddy.
I'm gonna have to go with Giannis.
Okay.
I don't think he has the biggest hands in the world.
Shoot, though.
All right. First of all, I just want to say this Jeremy Lin Yao Ming pick and
that.
roll is going to be really scary. So I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to take
Yao Ming pick and roll.
All right, I feel like because I got LeBron and he's such a brilliant passer, and I feel like AI and LeBron really need the ball a lot to be successful. So I'm going to add to my team some shooting. Someone who moves great without the ball.
Okay.
You already know. Someone who's great without the ball. Someone who can take over when he needs. So I'm going to take Steph Curry, 3rd overall.
Okay, very good pick.
Very
good pick.
That's a very good pick.
All right, now for my 3rd round pick. Is this 3rd round?
Yes.
Yeah.
For my pick, I'm going to go with someone that's huge, that's been dominant on the court for many years. He's strong, he's good at everything. Not everything, except shooting. That player is going to be Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ben Simmons. Right?
That's a nice pick.
Okay.
That's a good pick.
That's a good pick. I'm going to go, I think, I have the Asian chemistry already, so I'm going to kind of pivot away because there's like no more players anyway.
Gotta get that diversity.
So, right, you know what? At the 3, I think, I'm going to have Kevin Durant. He's a solid player.
I was hoping you'd make it.
Yeah. It just bounces on my team a little bit, you know?
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
So I'm gonna have to take. I feel like I have offensive power. So I feel like to round off the team, I'm gonna have to take some defensive power. And some people may think this pick is not that good, but I think like a year ago they won Defensive Player of the Year. Some people may think that they didn't deserve that.
That's
But I'm
trash.
gonna have to take Marcus Smart.
Trash pick.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
That was trash.
That's actually trash pick.
You're just a Celtics fan.
Even worse than Jeremy Lin, bro.
Jeremy Lin went crazy for 2 weeks.
Defense. I do appreciate you going defense.
Hear that, guys?
All right. I think at this point in the draft, I feel like I need some size. I think that you could definitely say that there are some centers that historically are maybe greater all time than who I'm about to take. But we got to keep in mind, I hope your listeners will keep in mind that in today's NBA, players are way, way more skilled. So somebody like my next pick, like back in Shaquille O'Neal's day, centers couldn't shoot as well as this guy.
Oh, no.
They couldn't pass. They couldn't face up. I will also say that I think that this person is the closest thing we have right now to Kobe Bryant. Even though he's big, he's got that amazing footwork, that fadeaway game, in addition to being a perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I'm taking my guy, Joel Embiid.
Oh, that's a good
He's gonna
pick.
anchor the defense. He can do anything on offense. All right.
Good pick.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Let's see here. Let me think. All right, I think I got my pick. Another Celtics player. I think I need a leader on my team, someone who will hype everyone up. He's also great at shooting.
No. Please.
Also very tall.
Please don't.
He's tough. He likes to go at it with everyone. I really appreciate his work ethic and everything he does. So I'm gonna go with Kevin Garnett.
Ooh, that's an
Wait,
awesome pick.
Wait.
I thought
who
you
is
were gonna
that,
take
bro?
Tatum.
Yo, that's.
Oh no, that's a great. If they don't know, Kevin Garnett is amazing. He's
Yeah.
one of the best defenders of all time. He can shoot. He's a glue guy. He's someone who, like, having him on your team, he like brings everybody up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a very tough player.
I like that pick.
Wow. All right. So after considering the draft options, right, I've decided to move Kevin Durant to the 4 at power forward.
3, 4, or 5.
Right. And at the 3, I'm gonna change it up. I need some defensive power, and I'm gonna go with Kawhi Leonard.
Ooh, that's
a good pick.
He looks very handsome always, and his laugh is very nice.
That was very unnecessary.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Add some defense.
I really thought Mark was going to take Tatum. So because he left it open, I think I'm going to have to take him. So for my 4th pick, it's going to be Jason Tatum.
That's trash, bro. That's trash.
I mean, all time though, he's been playing for like 3 years.
All time, he has Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart, bro. At least they have good chemistry, but not like Jeremy Lin and Yao Ming. So you know what I'm saying?
All right, it's fun. It's good that you mentioned chemistry because I was thinking about chemistry with my team too. Because we got some big personalities, right? In AI and LeBron, and we got Steph Curry. He can play with anybody. He's a glue guy. So for my last pick, I'm also gonna go for someone who adds defense and size, which my team needs. That's gonna round out my team. He's regarded by many as the greatest teammate of all time. He's regarded by also most people as the greatest power forward of all time. So that's where my hole is. I'm going to take Tim Duncan.
Ooh, that's a good
yeah,
pick.
Okay. Take Tim Duncan.
Yeah. Big fundamental.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So for my
fundamental,
that's what they call him.
So for my 5th round pick, let's see here. You know, everyone's talking about chemistry, so I'm going to add some chemistry on my team. And what better pair for MJ than the great Scottie Pippen?
Oh, that's nice. I was thinking about him too. I need more size. Yeah. I was thinking about him too.
That's, you got chemistry. That's good. But I'm going to take the best shooter of all time. Okay?
Who do you pick?
No. Better than Steph Curry.
Yo.
Okay? Statistically proven, he has more points than Steph Curry. Okay? I'm going to take Russell Westbrook. Okay? I'm going to take Russell. Wonderful shooter. More points than Steph Curry, I think.
Definitely. I think so.
Yeah. And
probably because he's been around a lot.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, just really rounds out my team. At the 2. I'm going to put him at the 2 instead of the 1.
But he's a point guard, though.
Well, he can be a little flexible. He can be a little bit flexible, okay?
Okay, buddy, whatever you say.
For my
Jeremy Lin at the 1, bro.
Final pick, I'm going to take someone who's a little bit scrappier. Who has the dribbling skills. They can shoot well. Not too much defensive power, but I'm going to go with Kyrie Irving.
Okay, one of the most skilled players of all time.
All right, so now that our draft is over, we're going to recap the picks, and then the people behind the camera will tell us, and you can also vote on the website that Mark made, so he'll put up like a form or something.
Hopefully.
So yeah, let's recap. Mr. Chen, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So my team, running the point, Allen Iverson. Running the 2, Steph Curry. Small forward, LeBron James. He's going to distribute. We got already lots of passing, lots of scoring. At the 4, I got Tim Duncan, best power forward of all time, multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year winner. I think. I might have that wrong. And then finally, Joel Embiid, another great defender holding down the middle.
Yeah, that's a solid team.
All right, so my team consists of Michael Jordan, the GOAT. That's all there is to say. Scottie Pippen, Shaq, Kareem, and Kevin Garnett.
Mid. It's trash, bro. So now for the real team, right? I'm gonna what I had at point guard, I feel like is just changed the game. I had Jeremy Lin, those weeks in Linsanity. Mm-hmm. I just
so influential.
It's been so many years, but I just still look back on them. Yeah. I just remember when he went crazy. And then paired with him, he also played on the Lakers at some time. Russell Westbrook. Greatest shooter of all time at the 2. And then I needed some defense, so I had Kawhi Leonard at the 3. And then Kevin Durant was my power forward, because I needed some real shooting on the team. And then the big man was Yao Ming for chemistry with Jeremy Lin.
Can't lie, bro. You guys got all these positions and chemistry together, and I can't lie, I'm sweating. But if I have to recap my picks, I have Kobe Bryant, I have Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Giannis, and Kyrie Irving.
That's a pretty good modern team. Maybe not all time.
It's a good team.
Yeah, it's super switchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Giannis at the 5. Yeah, that's.
So I think we're gonna go back to the questions now after our fun
wait,
draft.
Who won?
I think I won. Who won? People behind. Me?
They're ball
We're saying that Mark's won.
We're saying that Mark's won.
Yeah.
Another dub. There we go.
Okay, so yeah, after that, I think we'll go back to the questions. And so now, so we know that, you're an English teacher, and we also know that you love creative writing.
I do.
So we just wanted to ask like some things about creative writing, and
yeah, sure.
We also found on, I think it's called The Offing.
Yeah,
it's
like it's a great publication that I love.
A publication.
I'm really fortunate to be published there.
Yeah, and you published one of your poems called If and Longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we were just wondering, like,
could you explain like the meaning and
maybe we should read it to the audience
goes
right
behind this poem? Yeah. Should I read it?
Or you can read it. Do you want to read it? Yeah. Mr. Chen can read it. Yes.
Yeah. This poem I wrote a little while ago, but I appreciate you all unearthing it. It'll be fun to kind of go back to. All right. If and longer. I wake with Y in my mouth, and this time it stays. Bald below my tongue, like a seed I won't plant. Afraid to surrender the dream already slipping away. I press down, make of my mouth a landscape. Its depths barren, its soil a prison. Above, prints wandered fresh into snow, crossing, uncrossing, new cardinal directions, lines on a palm, fate line, lifeline, curve of Apollo, girdle of Venus, all leading to you. Your hair so much longer now. Your face, famine. Your hands, slicked with river. You're free. Somewhere there's a horse. Elsewhere, it's apple. Elsewhere still, the field for us to fill. Y'all don't have to clap, but thank you.
So yeah, we were just wondering, like, what is, the meaning, or, at least your interpretation
behind.
I'm
going to talk about it. Yeah, so I guess, like, maybe I'll share, because I think I'm someone who believes that, like, what the poet is trying to go for isn't always exactly what every reader is going to get out of it, right? Like, depending on who you are, your experiences, I think that it's great for everybody to get a little something different out of it. So I can share kind of what it means to me and what I was thinking about. So I guess in the beginning, like, I was thinking about, like, that feeling of, when you wake up from a dream and you're, like, a little bit disoriented, right? You're sort of half asleep, but you're sort of half in that mode. So, like, I was thinking, like, that feeling of especially waking up with a question in your mouth, like just waking up with a question on your mind. And so, like, I think oftentimes, like, when we wake up in the morning and, like, the things that we're thinking about, it shows a lot about ourselves, right? If you're really thinking about something, like, that's going to be the first thing you think of when you wake up, right? So I was thinking about that, and then, like, we sort of head into a little bit of a metaphor there. And I wrote this poem when I was in New Jersey over a winter break one year, and so I was kind of like, it's where I grew up is super rural, and so, like, that's where that, like, snowy scene comes up, like, from that, being halfway in a dream, waking up, looking out the window, seeing a bunch of snow. Like, when you're, and I suspect that, everybody in this room, despite our ages, can relate to this. But you know how, like, when you're in love with somebody, like, you think of, like, you see stuff and you think of stuff, and, like, you always kind of connect it to that person. So that's kind of how, like, we end up
disagreeing with him, bro.
Yeah, he knows. But yeah, so, like, how, like, this kind of dream scene and this snowy landscape, like, it just made me think about somebody I cared about. So that's how it, like, all leads to this one person in the end, and sort of it's like on I think hopefully, like, a mixed kind of, like, hopeful, uncertain note, but a lot of times when we're in love, it's like it's hopeful and it's uncertain at the same time, right? So my hope is that this poem kind of captures that in a unique way. So that's what I was thinking about.
I really love, like, the last few lines.
Oh,
when
thank you.
See the person, and, like, also, like, the scene you set, like, you can really like envision it.
Okay,
and,
well,
like,
I appreciate that.
Like, and also, like, what you were saying before, like, what you wrote and how you, like, were trying to convey isn't always what the reader feels.
Yeah,
and then, like,
totally.
Like, the readers, I feel like they also can get something on their own from it, and it's, like, super unique, and I feel like it's just a really impactful poem.
Well, thank you. That's kind of you to say.
I was wondering, is it about someone special or anyone?
Yeah. So it's definitely about someone that someone that I was caring about a lot at the time. I will say that I think, like, when I write poems, even if I know like a lot of poets will say, all right, this poem is about this specific person in every single way, and like this is about someone else. I think for me, like what I think about more is like just like even the way I put it before, it's like it's more about the feeling of being in love with somebody than like that specific person. Because like in this one, it's like I guess you see a little bit about what they look like, right? A tiny bit. But I think like for me, it's more about the feeling. So even though I was thinking about someone at the time, like I think it could be. My hope is that it can be just like applied to like more than one person. I mean, that makes it sound like I was in love with more than one person at the same time. That's not what I mean. But just that, like, it's more about the feeling itself than about who it's about, I guess. But, you know, that's it. I have other poems that, because I read about love a lot. I just think it's really, you know, it's something so universal. We all feel it in different ways. And so there are other poems that, like, maybe you could say, like, are more explicitly about somebody. But I feel like this one is less so the case. Yeah.
So for this episode, obviously we all have some experience in creative writing. And
I have another question for him. I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Just like before we share ours, you know. So,
you just ruined it, but okay, continue.
Okay, so I was just wondering, like, where do you find inspiration to write these poems or other creative works? Because, like, I know sometimes, like, you see like a certain scene, you know, and you want to write something about it. Or maybe sometimes it's just like a feeling that you've had for a long time or something like that. I was just wondering, like, is there different things that...
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I think for me, one of the reasons that I love writing poetry so much is poetry really helps me figure out like questions that I feel like don't have answers or I have a really hard time answering. So like love, for instance, or like the uncertainty of like loving somebody, and like that to me, it's like such a big question that's so hard to have an answer to, right? And a lot of my other poems, they have to do with like being an Asian American, in our country where, you know, it's complicated in a lot of ways. And I think that's like, it's a hard question for me to think about. And poetry is one of the ways that I try to work through those things. And so I think for me, like, it's maybe not so much inspiration as just like stuff that is on my mind and is persistently on my mind. Like I said before about the dream, right? Like when you wake up in the morning and you think about something, it's because like you can't not think about it, right? And so I think for me, it's like a lot of stuff like that, stuff that like I can't not think about, stuff that I don't have an easy answer to. And I think poetry for me is just like my way. I'm not saying it's the only way for everybody, but for me personally, like it's just the best way that I've found to like try to figure out those questions, to try to help, if not get answers, like at least get closer to answers and help me understand myself and the world around me a little bit better.
That's a good way to explain your experience.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, let's see about yours. Maybe yours is kind of the same thing. We'll see.
So at least me and Mark, we haven't written much poetry recently. Okay. That's okay. But like in 7th and 8th grade, we had like some poetry stuff. Okay. And so these are from like 1 or 2 years ago. Okay. And then Teddy wrote one like
this morning.
Great. It's fresh. That's the best time. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we're just gonna read our own poems, and then like you can criticize it.
Oh no, I'm not out here to criticize.
Rate it.
I'll be happy to react.
You can rate it. I don't know.
You can rate it 1 out of 10. Yeah, rate out of 10. Rate out of 10, and then we'll see whose is highest.
Think about that. I'll think about that.
Okay. All right.
So my poem is called "Crickets at Night." The clock strikes 8:10. Clueless, pointless sounds fill my wake. In my head, a ditty. The darkness wears down beloved sight. Eyes peek out, finding no light. Throughout the country city. I ponder this noise, and in blankness I poise, and I think I may be right. I sit up and stare back at the demon's black eyes. Those were the crickets at night.
Yeah.
Good poem.
All right. That's pretty good. That was fire.
I have one question. What's a ditty?
It's like a song.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a fan of this. So even I feel like it's got a great rhythm to it. Like I feel like everybody felt that, right? Like the rhythm is great. The rhyme helps that a lot. I also really like how I think I as a reader of poetry, because I read a lot of poetry and I really enjoy it. I really like poems that surprise you, and I feel like at the end there we get like a really big surprise. And I think that's great. I feel like the poem like sets us up one way, and then we go a different way that. Like it fits with everything else, but it's still a surprise. So yeah, that and the rhythm, clueless, pointless sounds. That's got such a nice alliteration there. So yeah, I'm impressed by this.
Thank you, Mr. Chen.
It's a good poem.
I appreciate this. Yeah.
So should I read mine?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would
so
love to hear yours. Yeah.
this one, I don't know. I think I wrote it like who's the author?
Silverstein?
Silverstein.
Silverstein.
Silverback
Like
is
on the
awesome.
back of the book, criminal or something. Is that the guy?
Yes, that
He
guy.
looks like a criminal.
The guy that
on the
looks
back
like
of the book,
like a mugshot. Yeah, that guy.
I've never seen this
But and so it's like
What?
rhyming. But Mark liked this one when he showed it when I showed it to him. Okay, so it's called In the Lines. The lines on the paper, straight and unbending. The words I scrawled on are slowly descending until the luscious strokes are freed. No chords that lead, no bars to heed. And maybe, just maybe, this could be a sign that sometimes you don't have to write in the lines.
Very creative.
Yeah.
I like
I feel
that.
like it
one.
wraps
That
up
was my
really
favorite
well.
one.
Yeah.
I like it.
I do, because Teddy, you said it wraps up well. I think in particular the fact that the title is the last line, that I think that you use that really well, because like we hear in the lines, all right, we're
He meant to do that.
It was
absolutely,
intentional.
I'm sure, absolutely. If not outwardly, like some deep poet part of him knew that was the right move. Yeah. Another one with good rhythm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my poem's called Untouchable. Wrote it this morning.
Oh, all right. I'm reacting. Okay, I don't have this one in front of me.
I reach out my hand only to grasp a handful of air. This thing that I'm chasing is my only desire. Unable to be fulfilled, unable to be seen or heard by anyone else but me. Formless yet perfect. Learning to accept feelings of nothing so I can reach out my hand once more.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Poem.
That's a good
And
poem.
what is that desire?
I think everyone has something that they want to be able to grasp
Teddy, I can't hear you.
Sorry. I feel like everyone has something that they want to be able to grasp that they don't, that they can't, and something that's like just out of reach, and it feels like that thing will never come, or that feeling, whatever. And the line where it's like anyone else but me, I feel like that thing is unique to everyone, and no matter how many times you reach out your hand, you can never grab that thing, and you have to learn to accept those feelings, and it can sometimes make you feel, like nothing. So
I like that one. I like the way that the like hand reaching out happens twice, because I feel like something that I think about a lot. And sorry, I know we're getting really we're getting deep into it here, but something that I think about when writing poems is like how you can repeat something, but it feels really different the second time, right? So you had that the first time, but then we hear like all these meditations on like a sense of longing and desire. So then by the second time we hear the hand reaching out line, it feels so different and it like pops in such a different way. So I appreciate that. That idea also of like of like reaching for like some nameless like unattainable desire is also feels like it's similar to like what I was going for in this poem, right? It's like you're reaching for something, like you're uncertain about it even though you're hoping. So I appreciate that similarity in our work.
Is the reason why it's called Untouchable is because the desire that you can't get is untouchable? Is it?
Yeah.
Or it's not
I
achievable?
feel like it's like especially in like the first few lines, it's like you're never gonna get that thing because of maybe the reason you're chasing it or something like that. You're just doing the same thing over and over. And I feel like at the end, it's like you sit with yourself and you learn to accept those feelings, and then like you reach out again. Maybe it's for something else. Maybe it's the same thing, but like it's a different motivation or something like that. It's different.
Thank you all for sharing this with me.
Thank you.
This is such a great treat to get to hear your work.
For our like final set of questions, we know like within the Burroughs community, you're super engaged in diversity and like inclusion and everything about that. So why do you think diversity is such an important thing in the Burroughs community?
Yeah, so I'll answer that a little bit by just sharing that like I feel like for me, I'm someone who I went to a school that was a lot less diverse than Burroughs, and that's just because of where I grew up. Like we didn't have that many students of color. I was one of like the very, very few, and I think like because of that, it was like I mean I really loved high school in a lot of ways, but in a lot of other ways like it wasn't that easy for me, right?
Yeah.
And I think like if I had felt And that's not even about the people that were around me, right? Like I think that like it's just because a school isn't diverse doesn't mean it can't be welcoming, right? But I feel like I just never really felt welcomed or included in the way that I would have loved to be. So yeah, being one of the only students of color, I feel like it's funny because I don't think I really realized fully until after I left. Because I feel like after I left and I went to college, I was around a lot more diversity and I felt so much more at home. So I feel like part of it was like when I was in high school, you know, even though like, you know, I had experiences with racism that were you know, difficult, but like I feel like I didn't know what I was missing until later.
I was wondering, do you speak Mandarin?
一点. I feel like I speak at like a first grade level. So like so my parents, so I grew up with my parents and my grandparents too. And so my parents were immigrants and obviously my grandparents were as well. So I was the first generation born in the US, but I wasn't around like basically I at home was the only place that I spoke it. So like I feel like, so I speak it a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I honestly, I wish that I had more opportunity to like talk, to use it and practice it, because I think when I was a kid, I was like, I see like videos of myself and I'm like, man, that kid like knows Chinese. But like now I'm like, I can't even, I can make my way around. So like I used to go back to Taiwan. I used to go back to Taiwan a lot more to visit family. Unfortunately, I don't have family there anymore. But I used to go back and I can definitely like make my way around, but people can figure out pretty quickly that like I'm not from there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, to me, language is really important to identity.
Yeah.
And like, this is just my interpretation of, you know, like your identity and stuff. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people that are immigrants in America, they say like, oh, you can still be attached to your culture even if, you know, you don't really understand the language.
Yeah.
And I kind of disagree with that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I feel like that language is sort of, you know, expressing yourself within your identity, right? And you're connecting with people that are in your community, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Just to me, it's just very important.
So on that note, do we want to wrap up this episode?
Thank you guys for having me. It's been great having this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on and all your insight and everything.
Yeah,
you're welcome. Like I said, it's been a lot of fun. So thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, and as the winner of the draft, I'm going to conclude this episode. Thank you guys for listening to our second episode of the Face Podcast. Check out our Instagram at F2F podcast. Follow our account, and you can look at some of our clips that we posted. And yeah, thank you, Mr. Chen, for coming. We really appreciate your time, and it was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much.